The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real because that's how powerful our minds are.
I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
Don't think, feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Nick, how are you?
Exceptionally well, bud.
Exceptionally well. I'm glad to hear it, because that's just in line with what I want to ask you this week, which is, are your best days still ahead of you?
Without question. Without question. In the words of David D'Angelo, the more I focus on my future, the better my present becomes. And I'm infinitely happier at 36 than I was at 26, and I'm expecting to be more so. Well, I'm expecting the same jump at 46 and 56 for that matter. So the answer is, without question, my best days are still ahead of me.
And why? Why do you think that? Is that just because you're positive, by nature, or because you actually think that there will be achievements or goals or things or places that will make your life better?
I think it's a combination of the two, man. I mean, I really do believe that to a large extent your thoughts create your reality, and I practice pretty good mental hygiene in that regard. I really do focus on the good things in my life and the positive things in my life, and as the Bible says, he who counts his blessings is given more, and I count my blessings every single day, man. And yeah, no one knows where life is going to take them. No one knows what catastrophes are lying around the corner or tragedies or whatever. But I really like to be positive, man. I mean, yeah, it's just been my experience that people who are positive generally experience more positive things.
When you count your blessings, to whom do you make an appeal or pray or give gratitude? Is that a vision? I guess the question is, what does your God look like?
I don't make an appeal or pray, first of all. Like I've said it a few times before, the only prayer you need to say is thank you. So I gave up asking for stuff a long time ago. To answer the second part of the question, what does it look like, or who is it? It's the universe, I guess. The universe isn't quite right, but it's just, I really believe there's something deeper, and some people call it God, some people claim it's just the quantum field, some people claim it's an ocean of energy, some people claim it's a man in the sky, whatever. I don't know what it is, but my instinct tells me, or doesn't tell me, my instinct leads me to feel that there is something beyond this on a deeper level, and that something is genuinely here for the progress and the good of all. And even though sometimes that progress and that good doesn't seem that way and takes some pretty dark and twisted forms, I think the general trend is for our development and our betterment. And so that is the thing that I'm sending that gratitude out to.
When you do that, is it a concerted effort? Is there a ritual to it, or can you tap into it anytime? Like, can you, be in a restaurant and in the bathroom taking a leak and, say thanks, or do you have to be in your special pillow in, Thailand in the woods in order to get in touch? I'm not trying to make light of it, but does it need some sort of reverence, or is that leaning too closely towards religious, dogmatic idea of what, the entity or universe or whatever God is?
A really cool guy, one of my mentors once said to me, I was talking to him about religion and faith and belief, and we were on a hike, and he said to me, "This is my church." And he was pointing towards like the nature or the ecosystem or the spot in which we found ourselves. And I think definitely you can be grateful all the time or a vast quantity of the time. I mean, it was last week I was having this argument with someone and I didn't feel very grateful. You know, I really felt pretty crappy. But also I've realized or I've noticed something, and that is that ritual imbues things with a kind of power and a sanctity. I don't know exactly why it is, but there's something to it from my perspective. So I think rituals, or at least micro rituals, have their place. How
Can
about
you
you?
talk about can you talk about your process then, or do you like if you really want to express gratitude in a ritualistic way? Do you have something, or is that like
Yeah,
something you don't want to share?
no, I can tell you straight up. I work with music a lot. Like I'll have my headphones on and I'll plug in a track, um, and I work with drugs and substances a lot as well. One of them being caffeine. On much rarer occasions, MDMA. I find those two are exceptionally powerful drugs for. Uh, I don't know if this is what it's doing, but the best framework I can conceptualize it in is opening the heart chakra, which is, I believe, where gratitude flows from, is like this region, chest region in an individual. I find caffeine like really physiologically and mentally and spiritually like helps open up that part of you. And so while I'm under the influence of those things, like if I've had a cup of coffee or, as I said, on rare occasions had some MDMA, I'll if I'm listening to music, if I had coffee, then I'll listen to some specific music on my headphones while I'm writing my gratitude journal. And I find like music can it can really change my polarity, and it really does something to like the polarity of my body. I don't know what it is. I mean, I just feel it on a very intense level. And then while those two things are happening, I'm writing in that journal. Like if I say, let's say I write, I'm grateful for my friends, I will conjure up images of my friends and the times I've experienced with them and how much they mean to me. Um, if it's an MDMA occasion, I'm usually in a place that is playing really loud or really good high quality dance music, which is a specific kind of music that I have an affinity for. And I have friends around me, and it's kind of the same ritual, but in a slightly different way. And I just think I'm so grateful to have these people here. I'm so grateful for whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Hmm. And yourself, I mean, you tell me about. Let's not even talk about gratitude, but just what are your most important rituals?
Wow. Great question. The weight room has been my church for the longest time.
That's
You know,
cool.
like as meathead as that sounds, like where I go in and I'm a fucking expert at that shit.
Hmm.
You know, like if you're with Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule, like there are a few areas in life where I'm you know an expert based on those hours, and
Hmm.
being in the weight room's one of them. And so I don't really need to think about it too much, and I get a tremendous amount of satisfaction doing it. But I'd really like to maximize the efficiency of, say, my learning outlets. You know, I think that if I have a few rituals where, okay, well, just, I'd rather skip a meal, I'd rather skip sleep than miss this hour of optimum, you know, brain function and learning where I'm actually getting as much out of it as I am physically from my body. So I guess I'm telling you about rituals that will be important to me, that have been in the past and will be again.
Hmm.
But for now, it seems like, you know, if I'm honest, which we should be on Digital Communion, I think the meal ritual is probably right up there. You know, with the top.
The male
With
ritual?
the meal
All
ritual.
right, yeah.
The preparing of my food. I don't do takeout. I don't go to restaurants that often. Probably 95% of the time we make food. Me and Ashley, and when you're preparing something that you're going to eat with your partner, it's an intimate thing, and I've always had this sort of maybe over the top relationship with food, but I think that preparing it and then, going through all the motions, prepping it and then cooking it and then eating it and then cleaning up after is just like, it's usually happening at the end of the day, and it's very satisfying. That's when we talk about all the things that we've done, what we've learned, how we've given or taken, as the case may be. I think actually I'm going to change my answer. The meal ritual is probably the most important part of
Wow,
my day,
that's cool. That's very
which is,
cool.
and I'm about to start this fasting experiment tomorrow, so that ritual will be gone from my life for 5 days.
Oh
So
yeah.
we'll see how the energy shifts given that, vacuum that's created by not having to. That's a shit ton of time in my day, man. Like if I really think about it, it's beautiful, it's a wonderful ritual, but it's like probably 3 hours a day that I spend prepping and eating and cleaning food
Wow.
stuff.
I'm really
It's a lot of
interested.
time.
Yeah, it's 5 days you're going for with absolutely no food, right?
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's impressive. I'm very
And I don't
interested to see what happens.
I don't think it's impressive. I think what will be interesting is to see how my body adapts to, I'm in a highly trained state, I think, right now. I train for an hour and a half, 4 to 5 times a week, lifting weights and running sprints and doing all that shit and surfing as well. And I want to continue doing that. And and I'm not going to eat. So I don't know. How long will it take for me to just completely fall apart and wilt? I don't know. I heard about a guy named, oh God, Dom D'Agostino, who pulled 500 pounds. He deadlifted 500 pounds for 10 after a 7-day fast. And then he pulled a single of 585.
Wow.
I think that it's probably not that big of a deal. Like all the shit that you and I have been sold about X grams of protein per pound of body
Yeah.
weight and recovery and catabolism and anabolism is made to sell supplements.
Don't believe the hype, man. That's something. It's been a major theme for me recently. Recently, past couple of years is just don't believe the hype in any industry or in any subject. There's always someone trying to sell you something.
I know.
I'm guilty of it as well. Like when I'm selling my products, I have to shout loudly about them because otherwise it just gets drowned out in a sea of uh, things that are trying to grab people's attention. Like you've got to hype a little bit, but at the same time you've got to be very wary. And I was in that same something I wanted to ask you about. I mean, I know you're incredibly particular with your food and what you eat and portion sizes and plannings and times and
That's not true though.
It's
I
not.
need you to take that back. How dare you, sir? I used to be, and now I'm more particular with the quality of the food rather than the quantity or the timing or anything else. If I can get the best food I can get my hands on, I'm gonna be okay for the most part because I really feel like you cannot overeat extremely high quality food
Interesting.
and like get it terribly out of shape. If it's nutrient dense enough, it's gonna fill you up a long time before it starts to have top. That's a pretty bold claim, and I'm not gonna say that, but for the most part, the pinnacle of my food choice is the quality and how fresh the food
Yeah,
is.
I agree with you. That's
But I
something.
didn't. I just wanted to interrupt. No, finish your thought. I'm sorry.
So you're not as obsessive as you used to be, basically. You don't have that issue anymore.
I mean, I've been doing intermittent fasting for almost 5 years, so it's not like I'm like, oh shit, it's 9:30, it's time for broccoli and chicken. I'm like, okay, I push this back as far as I can, and I try and have, first it was the warrior diet where I was just having one meal at the end of the day. And then I came upon Martin Birkin's Lean Gains, where, it's an 8-hour window of eating and you can have a few meals in that window. And that's worked it's been way more efficient for me and far more sustainable, because if I train, at 7 a.m., my first meal still doesn't happen till 2, but I'm going to want that 2 p.m. meal and, an 8 p.m. meal. But yeah, I'm definitely not look, mitigate the unsustainable. If you have to, carry your food in a cooler on the way to the casino, which I've done, or if you have to take supplements on the plane,
which I do,
which you do currently, I just,
it's fragile. It's fragile.
It's not
man.
ideal. Yeah, and it's like a fucking leash, dude.
Yeah.
You're owned by that shit. If your supplements own you, you need to change your shit, because that is, if food owns you, you need to change your shit, unless you have a specific goal in mind, which I think is an easy sort of throwaway for, oh yeah, my goal is to get jacked and lean. Like, of course, that's my 24/7 goal. It's like, unless you're a competitive bodybuilder or, competitive athlete, I just don't think you can justify carrying around the gallon of water, bro. Just stop doing that.
Yeah, I hear you.
Really? Are you going to dehydrate on the way, from the back extension or the squat rack to your house? You really need a gallon jug.
Yeah. Do you have to have that portion of amino acids and creatine 3 minutes after your workout, or else catabolism is going to destroy your life? It's like, come on, dude. Yeah, I get you, man.
And all due respect to those guys, because I greatly admire everything that they do, and I've done that shit in the past. I'm just saying, I'm older now. I have a different take on it, and I don't think, I just don't want to be owned by any of my things that I do because I enjoy them. I think it's fucked up.
Like, I'm so with you, man. I was like that with jiu-jitsu a lot. Just stopped enjoying it because I was doing it not because I wanted to, but because I had to, or I felt I had to, and lost a lot of the zest for it. And now I just do whenever I feel like it. Tomorrow or today, if I feel like doing some jiu-jitsu, I'm going to do it. If I don't, I'm not. And I'm a lot happier that way.
Doing like training arms, and I still, for whatever reason, it's just not appropriate for me to approach him. I don't want to be like, hey man, you're, doing like training arms, and I still, for whatever reason, it's just not appropriate for me to approach him. I don't want to be like, hey man, you're